All right. I'm going to go in with some reflections. Reflections are reverse stamps. They're backwards. So if you were just to stamp this on a card, it would be backwards. They're designed to stamp onto other things to use them as a printing surface. So for example, I could stamp this onto, I don't even know if I have an embossing folder here. I thought I swiped it from Sizzix, but you can open up an embossing folder, stamp inside the embossing folder, and when you close it and run it through, it will stamp the image right side up. So that's pretty cool. But you can also use them on stamps. So normally I don't use archival, but I was dying to try yesterday, so I'm gonna see if it works. You'll know right away if it does or doesn't. Because I've been, I'm sorry? Well, what? Archival? Of course. Yeah, absolutely. Same thing on glass if you want to stamp. Yeah. All right. So here, just going to take ink. I'm going to take archival. I'm going to try swiping it on. Like I said, normally I do this with Distress, which gives me a little bit more playtime, but hey, I don't mind trying. Then I'm going to go in with some jet black. There's a boogie on the stamp. I don't know what it was. Probably hot glue. There we go. And I'm swiping it this way because, again, when you're working with inks, if you tap it on, you'll get a really dark image, and I don't want to. I'm trying to get it a little bit lighter. So I've just kind of swapped it around just to get a little bit of ink. I'm also going to change my mind on my stamp. Because I can. I'm going to do some music. It's going to work better with this little guy. So the thing about the music reflections, a lot of people said, will you do that? Will you do that music reflections? And I can't read music, so I don't know if it's backwards or forwards anyway. I only know for that little swirly do thing. I don't know what it is. All right, so now I'm going to stamp on the stamp. And then I can take my image and stamp. And so now I'll get an image with an image. It's pretty cool. I like the look of it. And I love that fade because that's, again, from rubbing that on. If you would have stamped it, it would just be dark on dark. Now let me show you with Distress, because Distress is a little different, I think. I think Distress kind of shows, now I see what it looks like with Archival, but I think Distress shows a little bit more. You always have to work with compatible inks though. In other words, whatever you ink with, that's what you have to stamp with. Otherwise it will lift it off. So if you inked with Distress and stamped with Archival, it would lift it. Not perfectly. If you ever want to do like a negative, they call it kissing a stamp, where you ink up a stamp and then you could stamp into it with a clean stamp to lift it off, you would want to do pigment. Because dye is like self-healing. Dye is so liquid that when you lift it off, it starts to just kind of immediately close back up, but pigment will stay put. So if you want to do that technique, you can. Let's go in with brush, pumice. Great. All right. There we go. All right, so we're just going to take pretty much the same concept so you can see the difference. And we'll do this guy with Distress. What's that?
Stamping very lightly.
Correct, because you're really just transferring an image. So that's the difference with Distress. So Distress for me, you just have like a little, it's a little bolder, but it's a little wetter as well. I love that look. Yep, I like Distress. I like that I can see it a little bit more, so that's what I would go with. Well, that's pretty fun. That's one of the great things about obviously using these stamps. Yeah.